What is going on, my broskiis? My name is Toadskii, back again, here to bring you guys yet another One Piece Treasure Cruise video. It is now a brand new month, which means it's time for another tier list video. I know a couple of people have been asking, especially about some of the characters that have released during this month. And I don't know, I feel like there is a specific character in this tier list I want to get into specifically because I'm not really too sure where I actually want to place them. Like, my heart wants to place them in one place, but then my mind tells me to put them in another place. And actually that goes for a couple of characters in this list. Maybe you guys can help me in the comment section. Either way, let's get into it. So, of course, before we get into it specifically, let's talk about some rules, of course. So, with my criteria here, I do list, there are a couple of different criteria that will list certain characters above other characters, specifically how powerful the character is, like how much damage can they output, how fast they are at clearing content, how reliable are they at clearing content, can they clear certain content at all, and what are their usable units, or like how versatile is this character? Can this character be put on lots of different teams, or does this character only really synergize with a certain array of characters? And that can really differ between the captain ability and the special ability of a character too. So let's jump into it. The lowest tier that I have here is tier 4. I've got V1 Rayleigh up here just because he just got his support ability on global, and that's a big difference, right? And even still, before his support effect was even released, people were still using this guy on legend carrot teams. I mean, he was using a lot of different teams. He was using on some Kizuna clashes as well. V1 Rayleigh has aged reasonably well, considering how old the character is. Literally the second Sugo Fest exclusive to ever arrive on One Piece Treasure Cruise. This Rayleigh just continues to show why he's a boss, and he's awesome. If you guys don't know what he does, he removes 7 turns of bind, despair, and paralysis. He makes perfects easier to hit, and also delays enemies for 1 turn. He's a really useful unit to have, and now he's got a support effect that's exactly the same as Corazon, but with Corazon you can only attach him to Law. Now for Rayleigh, you can attach him to Luffy. I don't know if he can attach to anyone else. I can't remember off the top of my head. Either way, he's a great unit. And his captain ability, of course, isn't that good. You could technically still use him as a captain if you really wanted to push it, but I wouldn't suggest it. Corazon, I mean, he's a great utility unit again with a great support effect. That's the main reason why he's here. V1 Law just having a very niche special ability to allow your other specials to bypass defensive effects. Very good. Shirahoshi for a healing, guaranteed rainbow slots. It's a pretty useful special to have. Nothing really too crazy about her. V2 Law, I mean, look, he's not really great anymore, but the Cerebral class are just so good that I think that he still deserves a place here because, yeah, you can still run him as a captain with a friend like Sabo and Coalla, hypothetically, but it's not ideal, but it is an option. V2 Boa, it's the same sort of thing. Like, she isn't great, but you can partner up with Sabo and Coalla, and that works fine. V2 Lucci, he's pretty average. I'm actually not really a big fan of V2 Lucci that much. When PvP eventually rolls around for global, which hopefully we don't have to wait too long for that, this guy is actually really good for PvP. He's got a great special. I believe he does like AoE damage or something like that. He's a great unit, but as it stands right now on global, you know, not really too great. And of course, when PvP eventually comes, just talking about that very briefly, we're probably going to be having to do like a tier list video for PvP because there's a lot of characters to go through. Some characters are definitely better than others for PvP, but I digress. We'll talk about that when that eventually arrives on global. V2 Rayleigh, Tesoro, Garp, those 3 in particular don't really have great captain effects, but have great specials. Eventually, when Tesoro gets his Limit Break expansion, his captain ability like becomes insane, and he definitely will be bumped up to the next tier. But right now, no, he's fine where he is. Now, NL6+, I've actually moved down a tier, down to tier 4. I think many would agree to the fact that NL has not aged very well, considering when he first released. Look, it is what it is. I don't think NL is really that good. I personally have not used NL for so freaking long. Honestly, he's not even the best NL in the game at this point in time. I still think the Treasure Map NL is probably the best, or Coliseum NL. Those two are definitely more desirable units compared to this guy right here. But he's still a decent legend, but he's just a little bit more difficult to use, especially for recent content. Legend Garp, we've already talked about him. And then you got Brook and Jack. These are like just the useful legends to have. A lot of people suggest, oh, why don't you put Buggy in here? I don't care what you have to say. Legend Jack is way more valuable in every sense of the word compared to Buggy. Just Jack is a way more valuable unit to have. As for Brook, he can be used in a lot of niche circumstances, but his special ability is still pretty decent. He gives you healing, damage reduction, beneficial slots. He has a chance to KO enemies, or if he doesn't, he HP cuts. So, look, Brook has his uses, but he's nothing amazing. Like, if you get him and he's new for you, like, you should be happy about it, but, like, it's Brook, you know, you can't really do too much with him. It's Brook. So that's it for tier 4, nothing really to majorly touch on here, but now let's move on up to tier 3. Now, tier 3 actually did get a pretty significant change, because there was NL that moved down, there was one character specifically that moved up as well, so this one had a couple of different changes here. Now, one of the characters I wanted to touch on really quick was actually 6+ Nami. I was really contemplating moving her up to tier 2, just comparing her special ability and her sailor abilities to some of the characters in the tiers above. And I would say Nami still has one of the more powerful specials in the game, the ability to remove paralysis. Does she remove burn as well? I can't remember, I think she does. And then she also gives you color affinity and orb boost. Like, this Nami is still really good, and she can be put on a lot of different teams. But the thing is, her captain ability is pretty bad. I mean, look, a 4x captain, I think it's 4 times with a matching slot or something like that to Dex. It's a mono Dex captain. There's literally, like, so little content that you would really be optimally be using a mono Dex captain. And look, you can still run her with, like, hypothetically, like a friend Kaido. Like, Kaido as a friend captain with Nami could definitely clear a lot of content. But it's not the most optimal team in the game. But I'm just saying, that is an option. And that's why I was thinking about putting her up to tier 2. But I'm not 100% sold on the fact that I should really put her in tier 2 at the moment. As for the rest of the characters, there's no changes, and I really don't think any of them should be moving up, or any of them should be moving down currently. Yeah, as I said, the only change here was NL, and I think NL, he deserves to move down. He's just pretty average. Kung Fu Luffy's still pretty good. I'm not really a big fan of V1 Big Mom, but I can understand why she is good. Shiki, a lot of people hate Shiki, but he's still pretty solid. Zephyr, he's fine. he's Zephyr. He's pretty average, honestly. I'm not a big fan of Legend Zephyr either. And then you got the same thing with V1 Akainu, right? Because V1 Akainu, like, he's a mono strength captain in comparison to Nami being a mono dex captain. However, Nami has a much better special, being a rainbow special, where, well, it's technically a rainbow special, just about a rainbow special. And then you got Akainu, who's only focused on helping out your strength characters. So that's a big discrepancy there, and that was part of the reason why I was thinking of moving Nami up, but I'm not really 100% sure on that. Not 100% sold there. V2 Dofi actually saw a little bit of play this month with the release of Colosseum Ores. This guy was really good. Having V2 Dofi to just, you know, burst on stage 4 with the mini bosses of Ores and also with Moria. You do your overkill damage, you go into stage 5 with a 28 million HP boss, and you just use overkill to destroy it. In my showcase video for 6+ Katakuri, I actually had this guy on that team for that. Lots of different teams that were able to clear Colosseum Ores was due to V2 Doflamingo. So it's nice to see content where V2 Dofi is able to shine. But of course, with accumulated damage removal, and as well as normal attacks only, and the presence of lots of defensive effects, unfortunately V2 Doflamingo doesn't really get too much of a chance to really shine. But that's all I really wanted to say for tier 3. But now let's go ahead and move on to the largest tier on this tier list. I'm going to have to try and split this tier up here because it is getting pretty substantial right here. So this is tier 2. Tier 2 is crazy. It has so many freaking legends. It has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 20 different legends. Man, I'm definitely going to have to try and split this up somehow. Okay, so the characters that are new additions to this tier are basically all the characters that just came out this month with 6+ Katakuri, V2 Nami, Komurasaki, and Robin 6+. It was actually kind of funny. Before I even started making this video, I shared this tier list to my personal Discord server, and luckily Rioan let me know that, hey, that Robin there, she's supposed to be 6+, and I had her in tier 3 still. I'm like, oh shit, I literally forgot that Robin got a 6+ this month. I didn't even get a chance to really showcase her either. I was trying to do a showcase with her when Katakuri 6+ Island came out. I was going to try and run a Robin team, but unfortunately you weren't able to use Robin on the final boss stage with her special because he blocks damage immunity special. So either way, that's not really what I'm here to talk about. But yeah, Robin got a 6+, and she's actually pretty good. But let's go ahead and start with all the characters here. All these characters here are pretty straightforward. If anyone is on the cusp of moving down, it might be one of the slashers. It might be Shirahoshi Mancherry, but I did use her a couple of times this month. She is still really good. Luffy and Ace, he's still okay, but I don't know. I'm not the biggest fan of Luffy and Ace anymore, to be honest. Lucy is still very good despite his age. Lucy is still very good, and he should be receiving his Super Evolution probably this month. If not, definitely the month after. I'm really looking forward to his Super Evolution. He's really cool. And I would probably state it right now. If you guys have a duplicate of Lucy, I would keep an unevolved copy, meaning a 6-star copy, and a 6-star plus copy whenever that comes out, because he does change his classes, because currently right here he is a striker fighter, and then when he super evolves, I believe he becomes a fighter free spirit, as well as he changes his color into a quick character. So yeah, you should probably save an additional copy of that character just in case. The Admirals are still very solid. Love the Admirals still. You've got V2 Sanji is still really, really good. You've got Capone as well. You have Carrot. Like, these characters are all really good. Cracker, I love Cracker so much. He is phenomenal. Dex Sabo. I really like this character, but there aren't too many opportunities where you're like, yeah, I should really use Dex Sabo. He's just not... He doesn't have that sauce, you know what I mean? Like, he doesn't have that extra factor that makes him a desirable character. Like, yeah, it's a Sabo character, which is cool, but his abilities, in my opinion, are a little bit annoying to use. The fact that you have to kill something every single turn, it stops you from stalling. And yeah, his special ability is still pretty good, being a 2.25 orb booster and a 3x chain locker. And that orb boost is for fighters, free spirits, and shooters. So it is a very, very good unit. Don't mind me saying that. He is a good unit. But I don't know, there's lots of pieces of content where you'd like to use him, but it's not a very good idea to be applying a character like that in especially more recent content. The slashes I did actually use this month as well against Clash Carrot that came out relatively recently. The slashes were awesome. They dealt with it very, very well. If you have one of them, you definitely want to try and get the other. They work so well together. Running Mihawk as the captain with the Zora sub, and then having a character to remove the chain debuffs, such as like limited rare recruit Kinemon as an example. If you have limited rare recruit Kinemon and these two, like, that's a really, really good core of a team that you've got there. So the slashes, despite everything that I've been saying previous months about these guys, I'm not really the big fan of how they're typically built. I'm not really a big fan of Zora's captain ability in particular, but with those three characters in one team, you can actually do some pretty magical things, really. CatDog used him a lot this month, fantastic still. It's just the fact that his captain ability is only a 4x, and he doesn't really give you much else aside from that 4x. Like, yeah, his special ability can provide attack, orb, and color affinity if you use them right, but it's the fact that it's a 4x captain, so it's not really that great. And with that, you have to hit with the right attack timing, and if you don't, you're going to be missing out on a lot of damage there. Just comparing to a lot of the dual units, his captain ability is definitely lacking. V2 Big Mom, obviously a phenomenal sub, and then Viva Rebecca used them a lot as well this month, fantastic. Now getting the Katakuri. So Katakuri was another character I was contemplating putting him up to tier 1, but when I was really thinking about it, like, I didn't want it to come off as like a bias thing, right? Because yeah, I obviously love Katakuri. He's probably my #1 favorite character in the game right now. So much fun to use. But it's another thing, you have to look at it objectively with the fact that he is relatively difficult to build a team for. And looking at this tier list, this is like a hypothetical thing. If you have every unit in the game, where would each character be ranked against each other? And I suppose Katakuri, at that point, yeah, he probably should be in tier 1. But I think for a lot of other regular players, for early to mid-game players, V1 Katakuri is not going to be a good character for your character box. He definitely thrives in a character box where you have a large variety of characters, a vast array of characters that you can pick and choose from, especially if you go over to the database and you use the filter on there for filtering Katakuri 6+ characters. Obviously, compared to a lot of other characters in the game, it is relatively restricted because you are only restricted to 5 classes, and each character on your team basically has to have 2 of those 5 classes. So it is relatively restrictive. But if you have your team and you have everything set out correctly, and with the mechanics that he provides, Katakuri can do some pretty magical things. And I love this character to bits, and I don't really know if leaving him in tier 2 does him justice, but I think it's probably the fair decision. Look, at the very least, this is like the lowest tier he would be, 100%. And tier 1 would be the highest tier he would be. There's no reason for him to be tier 0. He's nowhere near tier 0. He has definite flaws in his kit. But I don't really know if I wanted to put him in tier 1 or tier 2. I think tier 2 is a safe position for this character. Now, as for the new releases coming out with V2 Nami and Komurasaki, now I did actually pull V2 Nami. Hopefully you guys checked out my showcase video. If you guys haven't, you should go ahead and do that. Now that I've pulled Nami and I've had a chance to play around with her, I'm actually not the biggest fan of the character. Now, there is mainly one thing about her that I don't like, and if you watch my showcase video, I basically went through it in that video, but it's the fact that with her special ability, if the enemy has a full immunity or a full debuff protector that basically resists everything, her special ability is basically useless, because the main point of this character is to reduce the enemy defense, and then you get a free 2x attack boost against defense down enemies. The thing is that, yeah, you can go ahead and remove defense down immunity from the enemies, but if they have a full immunity, she doesn't do anything. So in my opinion, what they should have done with her special ability is, instead of being like, if you're at full HP, remove defense down immunity, remove their defense, and then get the conditional boost. Just make her defense down go through immunity buffs. Like, legitimately, that would make her one of the best subs in the game. If you're at full HP and you launch the special, no matter what, you're guaranteed to get a 2x conditional. But as it stands right now, if you're at full HP, if the enemy has an immunity buff, you're kind of screwed. Like, she's a useless unit. And the thing is, how many bosses in the game have a full immunity protector? A large majority of them, right? So, look, I like the way that they're trying to go with this Nami, but unfortunately, it just misses the mark for me personally. But that's the thing. If the enemy does not have an immunity protector, bro, this Nami is a god. Like, a 2x free self-proccing conditional boost. And the thing is, you don't even have to be at full HP to get that conditional boost. She'll give you the conditional boost no matter what. It's just the fact that if you're at full HP, you'll also remove defense down immunity, which is very good as well. So Nami is good. She has a captain ability that's a bit hit or miss for me. I'm not a big fan of her captain ability, having to have 4 of the same typing, and then the thing is, only the predominant type gets an attack boost. It's not like V2 Shanks, where V2 Shanks is like, if you got 4 of the same color, your whole team gets a 3.5 boost. With Nami, it's like everyone gets a 3x boost, but the predominant color gets a 3.75 boost and a 1.1 color affinity. So I think Shanks' captain ability is probably a little bit better in terms of team building wise, but Nami, if you plan your team out correctly and you are up against content where she can abuse that, man, that's going to be some serious damage output from Nami. Now, moreover, over to KonradCurze. Now, of course, I didn't pull this character, but looking at a face value, I don't think that she's that crazy. Yes, specifically for quick and int characters, yeah, she's going to be like a god. Like, basically, if you're building any quick or int team, most likely you want to have her as the captain, or like Luffy Law, I suppose, because Luffy and Law have a quick component of them, and I feel like Luffy and Law is just a better captain. But KonradCurze has some pretty cool things going for her. The fact that she provides a healing mechanic upon perfect, she has a 20% guaranteed passive damage reduction, flat 4x boost, more beneficial slots. She has her own ship with the Koi ship, giving you recovery orbs as beneficial as well, and with her new batch released as well. KonradCurze is very, very interesting, especially with her special ability that can provide you a guaranteed 2x attack and orb boost to quick and int, which is very good, very reminiscent of Sanji and Judge being, Sanji and Judge being a 2x attack and orb booster for Powerhouse. Now, when you look at that, you'd think that, KonradCurze would be better because she's assisting 2 colors instead of 1 class, and KonradCurze definitely has more characters to play around with there. However, if you look at it in a grand scheme of things, assisting a class is much better than assisting a color, in my personal opinion, because when you have a class that you're assisting, you can play around with whatever color you want. And that makes it really beneficial. Whereas if you're stuck to a certain color, color affinity on those type of teams basically is pointless. Now, yeah, she doesn't boost color affinity, but I'm just talking in a grand scheme of things. Like, if you have a quick and int team, you're probably going to struggle against Dex content. You're probably going to struggle against other quick content or other int content. But, if the enemy is strength or the enemy is psi, then yeah, KonradCurze is going to dominate that content, which is good to see. But it just means, against 3 of the other colors, she is going to have a little bit of struggles, but it really depends on the content, right? And then the last character here is Robin. Now, as I said, I did try and use Robin a couple of times, and, like, she just seemed okay. I just felt like when I was using this character, I'm just like, dude, I really want to use Sabo and Coalla compared to this character. But when you look at it, a 3.75 captain with 20% damage reduction, with a 2-turn, 2x attack boost to the Cerebral class with her special ability, and you can nullify damage as well. And she changes adjacent orbs into recovery, which are treated as beneficial with her captain effect. She is a really good character. This 6+ Robin is very good, but it's a fact that, like, there's just better Cerebral captains. It's just, it is what it is. It's like, would you rather use CatDog or would you rather use Robin? Personally, I would definitely rather use CatDog over Robin, but both of them, I feel, are about the same level. And that's basically my whole thought process around ranking this character. Like, she is a really good Cerebral unit, but I feel like CatDog are just a little bit better. They have a better special, in my personal opinion. I much prefer the offensive specials rather than the defensive specials. But Robin is very, very good. But anyways, that's the full rundown of my personal listings for Tier 2. Let's go ahead and bump it up to Tier number 1 now. So with Tier 1, there are absolutely no changes whatsoever. This is the exact same Tier 1 as last month. We've got Whitebeard and Marco, V2 KonradCurze, Sanji and Judge, who I have used a lot recently. I still love this character to bits. Bato and Cavendish, who I actually did use my Limit Break expansion key on, and I did use them for a couple of pieces of content this month. Very, very good. 6+ Whitebeard, I also used a lot this month. Really, really good unit. Kaido, always nice to see. Stampede Luffy, Halloween Ace, and also V3 Kuzan. Unfortunately, still haven't gotten Halloween Ace or V3 Kuzan yet. I'm really looking forward to eventually pulling them because they look like a bunch of fun. But there's nothing really too much to say here. These characters haven't changed from last month, and they're still very, very amazing. I don't think each of them is like the perfect unit in the game, but they are very nice to have, especially with the powerhouse combo here, where you have Sanji Judge, you've got this Whitebeard as well as Kaido. Like, playing around with these three in particular, these characters are so good. Unfortunately, I didn't get too much time to play around with V2 Katakuri this month, but V2 Katakuri is still pretty good. I used him against the, what do you call it, the Halloween Luffy raid when he came out. I did build a team with V2 Katakuri, and he did go through it relatively easily, but aside from that, I haven't really had much of a chance to use him because I've been using your boy V1 Katakuri. Either way, hopefully V2 Katakuri gets a super evolution at some point. You know, we're definitely looking forward to like a buzz cut mochi version of Katakuri, and definitely this guy would fit the bill for a super evolution for that. But yeah, as I said, nothing really too much has changed here, and I think all of these characters deserve to be in this position. It's just the fact that these characters here, these block of characters, in my opinion, are just better than these block of characters when you look at their captain ability and you look at their special ability, sailor abilities, support effects, just everything. I feel like these characters in general are going to be higher priority targets for you in order to clear easier content just with these guys compared to some of the guys here in tier 2. And yeah, that pretty much makes sense. That's pretty much all I wanted to say about that. Let's go ahead and move on to the final tier of this video, tier 0, and surprise, surprise, absolutely no changes from last month. So with Snake Man, I honestly think he is the greatest example of almost a perfect character in the game. Like, if you were to say who is the most perfect, well-rounded, well-balanced character in the game that can basically do a bit of everything, Snake Man, I feel, is that character. He just has everything going for him. He has cooldown reduction, he has an HP boost, he has a very good attack multiplier, matching slots with his captain ability, matching slots with his special ability for multiple turns, orb boost for multiple turns, chain boost for multiple turns, and then when you launch that special, you get a buffed captain ability as well. Snake Man is pretty much the perfect unit, in my opinion. And even on JP still, he is still clearing everything on JP, which is freaking amazing to see. Snake Man is not going anywhere anytime soon. Then you've got Luffy Law, Rainbow 4.5, 2.5 orb boost. If you have support Sengoku, it makes him even better than what he already is. So yeah, Luffy Law is still a phenomenal unit. Then you've got Sabo and Coalla. Now yeah, they're a little bit more restricted compared to Luffy Law and Snake Man, but for Cerebral and Free Spirit being two of the best classes in the game, and they lead that class, those two classes, and as well as having a switch ability that applies color affinity, a special ability that removes negative beneficial orb enable, which is phenomenal because like no units in the game get rid of that. They remove block orbs, they remove non-beneficial orbs, they give you an attack boost, a 2.25 attack boost at that. They're great. Sabo and Coalla are so good. And they just have, because the Cerebral and Free Spirit class have so many great utility units, and that's why Sabo and Coalla is ranked as high as what they are. And then we've got Bullet. Now, Bullet, he covers a large majority of characters in the game, strength, quick, and int. You've got lots of great characters there. You've got his special ability that can just solo so many stages by himself. Even him using his special just with a matching orb can already deal millions and millions of damage, which is great. And as I said, the fact that he has so many different usable characters with his teams, it just means that not only can you go ahead and just utilize lots of different subs, but you can hybrid him up with lots of different things as well. Even if you don't own Bullet yourself, you can still go ahead and run a strength, quick, or int captain with Bullet. As long as there's some synergy there, you can build a pretty good team. Bullet just carries through a lot of content. Used him against Raid Carrot as well that came out recently. He was used in some Kizuna clashes as well. Just Bullet is that guy. And of course he does get nerfed a lot from normal attacks only, but despite that, he's got a great captain ability that can still do a lot of damage. And being rainbow against everything is just kind of OP. It just kind of is. So there's no real reason why this should be changing. But that's pretty much going to conclude this tier list, guys. As I said, you know, with Super Evolutions, talking about like Lucy a little bit earlier. Lucy, I hope is going to get a Super Evolution next month. If not, it should definitely be the month after. But things to look forward to for next month is like Legend Chopper. We would expect him to come out, and hopefully Luffy and Zora and Sober Mask. And if those guys come out, it's going to be interesting to see how I place those guys. But I think it's a pretty safe bet that at least one of them will be in tier 0, and that's a fact. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this month's tier list video. As I said, leave some comments down below as to where you would personally place Katakuri V1 and also Dex Nami. Do you think Dex Nami should be moving up into this tier? Just because when I think of her special ability, it's very similar, if not better, than some of the characters in this tier, right? It's just the fact that her captain ability is not great, right? But with Katakuri, he's a god. I love Katakuri so much. But does Katakuri deserve to be in tier 1 with these guys right here? It's hard to say. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down below in the comment section, guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this one, and if you guys did, make sure to leave a like. And if you want to stay up to date with all the content that I post, including more One Piece Treasure Cruise content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. But on that, guys, I'll see you guys within the next video.